Hello, welcome to the Woodturning podcast. My name's Mark.
And my name is Will. Welcome.
And I am Gary. How you doing? I'm going to talk about some little bit of resin projects I've been doing, some walnuts for a change, so I'll come on to that a bit later.
Excellent. I've got some how I make the lace bobbins, the spliced ones that I've been doing, the new ones.
Oh, good.
And I haven't done very much at all because I ran out of Maker's Marks the week before last, and this weekend I went away, which is probably the first time I've been away for years, actually. A long time. So
with what I bought, acrylic, lots of acrylic. There was a company that went, he packed up, now a relatively small wood turner, he packed up and sold off all of his stock. So I spent a fair bit with him, acrylic blanks and some little bits of wood and things. And I've bought a new pair of boots. They should be here tomorrow. Looking forward to them. McLaren have released a range of footwear with DeWalt. So it's the safety wear that the guys at the F1 tracks wear.
all right.
Needed a new pair of boots, and they've got the locking, the shoelace on them is a click lock. So you push it in and then twist it, and it does your boots up. And to undo your boots, you just pull the clip, and your boots are up. It's great, lovely system. Mostly acrylic blanks, CA glue, usual stuff that Chalmer Valley currently doesn't stock. So, what about yourself, Gary? What have you been up? What have you been buying?
Oh, from a purchase point of view, I've actually got something coming that hasn't turned up yet. I've gone for the vacuum chamber. So I've had a pressure pot, and I use a pressure pot for my resin for donkeys. But sometimes I just get those little bubbles that are still in there somewhere, and I'm just thinking, well, if I go down that vacuum chamber route and try and degas it before I do it, or even double up and degas and pressure pot it to try and cut even more out.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what Will does. So, and you can also get into the realms of stabilising as well. As you do the crochet hooks, you can stabilise some of the spalted woods with some colour.
Yeah, I've done a lot of reading about them vacuum chambers, and I know your one's got that tempered glass lid, hasn't it? Right? When you look on Amazon and whatever, and they've got them, even the same make, I think it's called Baco, the actual make. They do lots of ranges of the sizes of the chambers, but then they actually, majority of theirs have got a vinyl, whatever it is, lid, but they do a separate one, which is a tempered glass one. And when you read all the stuff, it says basically you need the tempered glass one to do stabilizing, because the other one can react with whatever. It specifically mentions cactus juice. It talks about some other stuff as well. So it's almost like if you only got the vinyl lid, you need the glass one if you're going to do stabilizing. So,
well, it makes sense. The fumes in the resin might slowly melt the vinyl lid.
A bit like the acetone did with my paddles the other week. Yes.
Well, exactly. The cactus juice is just a brand, but it's a heat reactive resin, and it's thinner. And I reckon they use acetone or something similar to thin out the resin.
Then it doesn't go off, does it?
I don't know. Does it?
Weird.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Anyway, so I won't be stabilising, put it that way. I will. I went down the cheaper route, because you used to get carried away with the size. I know, like, Will's got some beast that he can climb in the chamber himself and degas himself. That's quite an idea. Do that after a few beers, degassing chamber. So I think I ended up going for a 6 litre. I nearly ended up getting something off old AliExpress.
Oh, really?
Have either of you two ever got anything off AliExpress?
No.
Loads.
I've used Temu loads, but AliExpress I wasn't sure about.
AliExpress has been going for 20 years. It's been around for years and years and years. I've picked up silly little things like the stepper motors and switches for the 3D printers and things like that.
What about anything of value? What's the biggest thing you bought? You bought anything like 100 quid worth? And did you get done for the tax? It always says about estimated tax and stuff like that.
That's import duty. I don't know. I've never bought anything that big.
Oh, right. That's what I mean.
I am, because I'm mindful of it, because that's purely because it comes from China. You're going to have to pay import duty on it.
So you've never you've never had an order big enough, even though there's loads of little things. You never had an order bigger than 50 quid, for example?
30. I keep it under 30 if I'm ordering from China.
Oh, is there a limit? Is there an actual limit?
Yeah,
right.
It's anything over 35 quid or something like that. And revenue and customs want 20%.
Is that apply to Temu as well? Are they China based? I don't know. I don't even know.
They are.
Order from them.
They are, but I think some companies pay that duty before they ship it. Some don't. I know when I bought from America last, I bought some Spectraply blanks before I started making my own. The guy who sent it messed it all up, and he put down that he messed up the values on it, and HM Revenue and Customs wanted nearly £800 off of me because he cocked it up. But you think over £30 from any country now, pretty much.
Right, interesting.
Don't know.
Actually, placed a team order the other day, which was about 40 quid, I think.
Yeah, when I bought the vacuum chamber, that came from the US.
Was that via Amazon, though?
That was
via
from
Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon pay that.
I looked at that, and Amazon, on that one you sent me, Amazon says it's something about they pay it.
Yeah, they do.
Because on that AliExpress one, because when I looked, they had, I think it was a 6-gallon one. So that was a bit wider. But then when you actually looked, it was 40 quid. But then the shipping was 60 quid.
Yeah.
But when you tot it all up, it's still cheaper overall than going to get another one off of Amazon or something like that. But then it was like, well, okay, then you've got estimated shipping of tax of like 12 quid. And then it would take up to, I don't know, whatever, a month and all this sort of thing. And then I was thinking, Jesus Christ, in the big scheme of things, although it's cheaper, it's not 10 times cheaper. So it's almost like not worth a gamble in the end.
Where you get your crochet hooks from, and you get that from the guy.
Yeah, she gets them from over there.
She does all of that, and she pays the import duty and factors all of that into your costs. And it is what it is. It's, you import things from another country, the government wants their take on it. So, but I've never ordered anything that expensive from Alibaba's. But
that's a different one, though, isn't it? There's one called Alibaba's, isn't there? This one's called AliExpress.
AliExpress, Alibaba's. I've ordered from both. I've got both their apps. Alibaba's is more tech based. AliExpress is basically everything. AliExpress does wood turning chisels and things, but AliExpress is a good place to get the carbide cutters from.
Seen that.
Takes a month, takes a while to ship over.
There's loads of people do them on there as well, isn't there? There's loads of options. That's another thing, you can go down the rabbit hole when you start looking and whatever.
And it's always best to just hit the top one, or one of the top ones, because that's been ordered a lot. Because with Google and Amazon, if they pay for the higher placing, and it's the same with Etsy, the better the ratings, the more they sell, the higher up the listings they end up. And so I tend to just go for, don't bother flipping that one will do. I do the same on Amazon.
I'll go down the full analysis route. Because I just don't trust some of the reviews and whatever. And when you see it's got like 40 reviews and they're all 5 stars, and you're going, well, hold on. And then I end up going down a route of saying, who's done it? Oh, he put a review. Oh, then I'll click on that person to see how many reviews has that person done. Is this a fake one? And all this sort of crap. It's like, what are you doing? But if I see one that's got 800 and something reviews, then you think, fair enough. No one's going through that much act to sort of fake that many. But when you see like 35, 40, I still question it sometimes. 800
5-star I'd question, but 800 4.5 I wouldn't.
Oh, that's what I mean overall. But where it's only got 40 and it might be 4.5 or 5 even, that's when I would question it. But there you go.
So I saw you've had a couple of videos out, Garry. Walnut bowl made from walnut. Did someone take a bit of inspiration from Will's pistachios?
Well, actually, I had walnuts on my list ages ago because I saw some guy done a turn-in with walnuts and basically just done it as a light. So it ended up as basically like a light shade, right, with a light in the middle. And so it was just coming through the walnuts. And so I had it on my list ages ago. And since, well, probably around Christmas, probably when I had a load of walnuts, I'd been keeping the shells. And when my old man comes around and just sits in my workshop talking bollo, I just get him to sit there and carefully open them and whatever as well, because I've got some more. And I give him a knife, and he'd literally be sitting there. He's happy to be doing something. And I turn around, it's just claret everywhere. And it's like, even some of it was on the walnuts. And I go, now I can't even use them ones. Can't get it off. So anyway, so
your poor dad.
I've had this sort of like, that was taking ages to get to the point where I had enough. Then I suddenly thought, right, okay, at some point I need to glue them all to a bit of wood so I'm ready to actually pour some resin in. So I've done that. So then they were just sitting there, and then I was just topping them up with leftover batches of resin I had. And that's why I've ended up with a load of blue and yellow ones. That wasn't that was coming. The yellows come off of that Star Wars thing I'd done. So I and just had them glued on a board basically. And then I'd done a smaller one to start with, bits of peely, cut some big grooves in it basically to then put the walnuts in on their back. So they're facing upwards, a wide rimmed bowl, if you like. And then I've done another one, bit more like a fruit bowl shape where they was up the sides.
Oh, that's the one I've seen. Is the plate one?
Yeah, I haven't seen the bowl one. They don't release that video yet.
I haven't bloody made it yet. That's why. So that's my next one to do. But it was quite good fun actually in the end. And I put in between. I was umming and ahhing what to pour in between, whether to colour it, to leave it clear, how opaque to make it, and all that sort of stuff. So in the end, I put some little blue bits of glitter in. It was actually a tiny Turner. Some of her, I can't remember what she calls them, but they've got some great sort of sparkly effects on that. She had one. It was like what do you call the star thing? Starry Nights. Oh, what's it called? In the sky.
Nebula.
Green and blue. Aurora. Yeah,
that's it.
So she's got one that's called something like that, Aurora or something like that, and the colours in that are really nice, blues and greens and stuff like that. Anyway, so I basically just put some of that in. So it's quite subtle, but in the light, it really sort of like sparkles quite nicely.
Just talking about that while we're on topic, did I tell you that I visited Perfect Pearls and Pigments?
You didn't say you visited them.
So I forgot about that. So that's something I have done over the last 2 weeks. So I put an order in for a couple of bits, and the guy phoned me, and he said he had a query. He said, "You do realise I'm only a couple of miles up the road from you?" And I went, "No." It turns out he's literally too much. He's literally a couple of. He's actually in between me and Simon Hope.
That's dangerous.
And I pass his workshop. Now I know where he is. I pass his place twice a day. So I said, "Oh, well, what? I'll pick him up on the way back and I'll have a look round."
Wow.
So it's quite interesting in there. Little Bentley.
I actually got some from him this week.
Saying again.
What was his setup like? Is it? I said I got some from him this week. What was his setup from the point of view of? Is it an actual shop or?
It's more of a warehouse. He does have some samples there. It's quite good to look at.
So is it similar to Simon's in respect that it's a warehouse with a shop attached? Or is it just warehouse?
No, it's just a warehouse.
So has he got those, when you see his pictures, and he's got, like, I don't know what they're called, that they're almost like a plastic, so it looks like a little seat, but they sort of show off, they spray them with the colours so that you can see the reflections and whatever. Yeah. He's got all those in, has he?
Yeah.
Like a car dealership when you want to buy it.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. And he was saying that like anything you see on his site, you can either have it in flake or powder or in paint. So you can do all three. So if it's something you like, then he has it in all three, which I thought was quite cool.
I noticed on Google Maps he's next door to National Body Shop Supply as a paint shop, so I assume he teams up with them for some of it, I imagine.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I'd never have known it was there unless I went looking for it. It was down a little old country lane, which I just happened to use twice a day to dodge the traffic.
Between the 120 and the 133, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right, okay, yeah. He had some really nice on there.
He had loads of polishing gear in there as well. That's kind of interesting, so I might go back and have a look at that. But he had little mops and car detail and stuff. I thought I actually spend some money, on that, on gear like that.
Yeah. That's good though. Did he ask you what you do? Did he have?
Yeah.
Nice. He didn't ask you to say, "Well, do you want to do some of mine and I'll bung you"?
No, he didn't. No, I don't know. Unfortunately, he didn't.
So there's no long-term sponsorship deal?
No, there's not, no. No, I'll tell him if he stuck his pigment in a pot, then I'll show it. And I don't really have pots like that. They all come in plastic. Well, okay, all right, go.
That's right. I just like when I sort of got some different not samples, but you can obviously buy it in small weights. But he has like for like I can't remember what the crystal and all these different ones, and it's all about they're all going to give you a different effect, and they're all sort of some of them he's got like the sizes of the chunks of glitter, and he like 0.1 of a mil, and then literally I've got the same colour in 0.2 and stuff like that. He's got a range, and it is big. Get 2 grams of that. Fight down to the sweet shop. Gram of that. 5 grams of that. Not the modern day sweet shop, obviously.
No. Penny sweets are gone, and there is a place up in near Birmingham that you can still do that. In one of the recreation town places, and they still make it all.
What you mean, sweet shop?
Yeah, sorry, divert it a bit. I just like the idea of going into a sweet shop. To be honest.
Yeah, I've got some of them near me. I was talking modern day sweet shops, as in a gram of this and a gram of that.
We used to have a rock factory here in South. Anyway, that's a bit of a divert, isn't it? Food nowadays. I'm hungry.
Sorry, I've got one other place I've been since the last pod, actually. Went to City Timbers place that's shutting down near Brentwood. Edge City Lumber or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's follow it. And literally closing down. They've been there over 10 years or something. They mainly, it's all slabs, massive slabs for like tables and whatever else. But the gear they've got in there is unbelievable. I was talking to the guy and he said like business has just been dropping off over the last couple of years and they just can't carry on anymore. So he's been putting things on Instagram with like down and stuff like that. And I just went up there on the off chance that he might have a whole bunch of offcuts and stuff like that. But he said, I used to keep all that on a pallet and I had it there for 2 years and no one came in. He goes,
criminal.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be shutting down if we all knew he had it.
No.
True, but I got a couple of bits off of him and then just looking around on the floor going, can I have that? And he's going, do you want that? I'll have that. But he's shutting down, I think he said end of April, but that will probably be to the public a couple of weeks before that. So I might go up and see if I can get a cheap slab or something.
I've been looking quite a lot recently for olive wood and I just can't get it anywhere.
Then you're not looking hard enough. I've got tons of the stuff. It's no good for you because it's all made with bobbins, even though you can't make bobbins out of it because it breaks too easy. Where did I buy the olive slabs? Bought a couple of olive slabs for a river chopping board. Was that I think that might have been Exotic Hardwoods.
Yeah, I'm looking on there.
It wasn't Timberline.
Surrey Timbers or whatever it is there.
Yes, I've looked at all of those.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Exotic Hardwoods have it.
Maybe I'll check that.
Well, they have boards and 8x8 blanks, 10x10 blanks, spindle blanks. Just got.
Oh, yeah, that looks like it.
Well, if Mark uses two hands, he might actually be able to show you.
That looks like cool.
I use them quite a lot when I want something like that.
Sorry, it was the other one you said. Oh, Romney Marsh, wasn't it? Have they got an online?
Don't know. Did I put that in the group chat?
Timber Company.
I was just looking for them and I couldn't remember what they were called. I put that on because they looked like they had a lot of burls.
Nice stuff.
They do.
They're online.
Are they?
To be honest with you, I'm exceedingly tempted. I've got a Saturday off coming up. I'm exceedingly tempted to take a little trip down there.
I saw
very tempted.
I saw their posts, but I couldn't see they had a website again or anything on their profile.
No, there's no link to it.
Oh.
Just a link to their. But I suppose Google it and you'll go from there. But no, they look quite good.
You can't actually buy from the website by the looks of it.
Oh, right. I thought
Viewing by appointment only.
Viewing by appointment only.
I used to go right down there when I was a kid. That was my annual holiday. The old days, like the Butlins and shit like that. They had like a Pontins or something like that in Romney, and there's like a miniature railway that goes along there and whatever.
I did the railway 2 years ago. I was on holiday down in Sussex, and Romchurch and Dymchurch and Romney. That's it, Romney and Dymchurch. And you stopped at the
Dungeness.
Yeah, that's it, with the lighthouse there and everything.
Yeah,
so
I can hear the toot of the train now.
And how cramped it is in those little carriages.
Well, doesn't it? That was nice.
But the grub's nice at the end as well.
It's like a cath type thing at Dungeness end.
Grub's nice. We went there with the Rolls Royce Club. So at one end, there's 30 Rolls Royces all parked up, taking up their car park. And we all jumped on this little train and poodled up to power station, had some lunch and poodled back again.
Oh, yeah, it's nice. Nice.
So back to your walnut bowl.
Yeah.
What did you do with it?
What did I make it?
Yeah, it's top bit, isn't it?
Basically, I had a blank that was, I don't know, whatever, 4 inches. I'm absolutely bullshitting. Sorry. Basically, I had a blank of, this is actually a panga, which is like nice. And I just cut another blank the same size out of pine, stuck that on the top, so there's like a sandwich. And then once that went off, in the pine, I just cut out a groove big enough to take the walnuts on the side.
Yeah.
And then basically wedged all them in. So essentially, you used pine instead of using acetate, for argument's sake. You create the former, and then pour the walnuts in that groove, and then poured the resin in there, and then just turned all the pine away.
Cool.
basic idea that I had with my resin ones. Made a pine plate and put the pine cones in it and used the pine plate as a...
Yeah, and the same with this sapele one, but that was just all sapele, so I just sort of like, you just cut a thin line in it essentially to lay them in. That one, because you're turning underneath as well, you're getting less and less contact with the resin, and you got visions of a ring of resin just suddenly popping off as if you're doing a captured ring or something like that. And it's like, but could have probably pushed it a bit further, but I was thinking, nah, whole thing. Right, come out all right. What have you been making, Mark?
So my recent projects have been a couple of new ranges of lace bobbins. For those who don't know, a lace bobbin is handmade lace makers use to make lace. From a wood turning point of view, they're 100mm long, 5mm wide spindle. They're really not very big. The thinnest part, they're about 1.5 to 2 millimeters thick at the neck. So I've been doing spliced bobbins, so they're not just made of wood. They've got one range is two different wood separated by aluminium strips, and this new one that I started it yesterday, day before, is in a blank separated by aluminium strips, and a hell of a lot of processes to make them. He's got a hand up. It's like, go.
I have a question. Yeah, aluminium. What is that? Just like 2mm thick aluminium?
I have a alloy and plastic shop. And you get any metal in any size, thickness, sheets, bars, you name it. He can get it if he doesn't stock it. Fantastic. It's one of those really old-fashioned shops. It's been there probably since the 1960s. And I just went down and I said, what aluminium offcuts you got? I need it 2mm thick, just a aluminium. It doesn't even need to be clean. It can be scratched to buggery because I don't need the face. I need the edge.
Yeah.
So I put a couple of A4 sheets of aluminium, and they're cut up on the bandsaw into about 12mm square little bits. They're then with a 4mm hole through the middle. An aluminium blank. I use blanks, normal everyday pen blanks, the same ones that Garry uses for his crochet hooks, bits and pieces. And I can get 4. I quarter down the length and then cut them down to 20mm long blanks. They all get drilled. Now, many of the listeners will now be sitting there thinking, well, why is he drilling them separately when they get glued together? So I glued them together with 5-minute epoxy and went to drill them the next day, and the aluminium fell off of the acrylic. And I'd scuffed the surfaces up with some 320 grit sandpaper, just rub the. So they're pretty scratched up, and the surface of the acrylic is obviously got the cut marks from the bandsaw. I use a very fine tooth bandsaw blade, but it doesn't need scratching up because it's got. I said 5-minute epoxy, and they just separated. And the heat of drilling through the aluminium into the acrylic melts the epoxy, and they just drop off. So I thought, well, let's give CA glue a go. Put them together, went to drill them, and exactly the same thing happened. So neither 5-minute epoxy or CA glue keeps them together. So they have to be drilled separately. Then I use an old 4mm drill bit with your trick at will. When you put the waste onto your projects, you use the skewer, didn't you? So I use an old 4mm drill bit to line them back up again. And I get left with this little acrylic blank with aluminium top and bottom. I then go over to the lathe with a bobbin blank, and the bobbin blanks are about 10mm square and normally about 150mm long. And I cut in a tenon and then separate the tenon. And I put some grooves on the tenon so to increase the glue surface area. Glue them into the acrylic blank, and you end up with a full acrylic and wood blank. This is boxwood, this one. And turn it down, and you get yourself.
Turn on, does it?
It's sharpening station turned on. I don't see any point in turning it off. I started with
very effective.
It does. I'll bring them up to Turning Club this month. I started much bigger chunks of wood when I did wooden ones a couple of weeks ago, and the bits of wood were 20mm, and so was the aluminium. And since then, I've learned that I don't need. That's just wasteful. So I've now gone down to, I think they're about 15 mil. I don't measure it. I just sort of bigger than 10 mil. Doesn't matter. So yeah, it works. Helps break up between the wood and the acrylic.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
You've got to be careful.
How much are you knocking them out for?
These particular, they're going to be around probably £7.50 to £9.50, something like that per
And
bobbin.
how does that compare to like a box wooden one?
My bog standard wooden ones are about £5.50.
Right, okay. So
So
obviously, like a lot of more effort to do what you're doing, and you're almost doubling, so you're getting a return.
I am getting a return, and some of the cheaper bobbins, the easier to make, the quicker to make ones, which probably only take me 2 or 3 minutes to make, they're £3.50, £4.50. So there's plenty in them. And because I'm quartering, and I get 28 bits out of a pen blank. So there's 28 bobbins worth of acrylic out of a pen blank. So a pen blank being £4.50, there's nothing really in, it's pennies in the acrylic. And the aluminium sheets were grand. I had to buy 2 sheets and they were £15 because I didn't have any cash on me and I wanted to pay by card, and he had a £15 minimum spend. And I will get 200 to 300 bits of aluminium out of that. So in terms of cost of parts, it's very minimal. And then it's just the time. Each one of these will take me about 10 minutes to turn because you've got the 3 different hardnesses in there. The alloy is obviously harder. But the biggest problem I've had with them is when I come to polish the acrylic and polish the aluminium, because you're going to a fine paste, it then stains the wood closest to the aluminium. So I haven't developed, but the technique I use, Yorkshire grit from the outside and work towards the plastic and the acrylic, because it will just wipe off the acrylic. And that way I don't get any of the fine, dirty aluminium on the wood. It's been a lot of trial and error doing these. I make them with, the latest batches have been with the aluminium with the different woods and the acrylic, but before that I've been making them with corian and my leftover laminated woods. They've been popular for years, but the corian is slightly harder than the acrylic. But if you can get a hold of some corian, I recommend adding it to a project because you can get some good effects with corian and wood together.
I don't know about corian, but I can get hold of plenty of aluminium sheet. That is for certain. That's why I asked the question. That's quite inspiring, that.
I don't use carbide tools. I just use my standard bobbin making high-speed steel, but I have to sharpen it after every bobbin. The aluminium does blunt them quick.
Plenty of stainless steel as well. I don't know if that'll turn all right. I will give that a go.
With a carbide tool, yes, but I wouldn't recommend it with high-speed steel because stainless steel is harder, isn't it? It may not be much harder, but unless you use something like Simon's cryo-hardened crown tools. But it depends on how you use it, to be honest. If you use the face of it, that polishes up. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference whether it's aluminium or stainless steel because it's such a thin band and it's polished. It is, the camera doesn't really show it, but it is really nice and shiny.
What are you putting over the tops? Just your wax?
No, standard. It's the whole bobbin is finished with Mylan's friction polish. Well, a layer of Mylan's friction polish. I don't get into all of these fancy finishes. You see people online, they go, oh, yeah, you should be using CA glue as a finish. CA glue is a glue. That's why it's called CA glue. Friction polish is a polish. If I need them to be a bit more hard wearing, I sometimes use a microcrystalline wax over the top of the friction polish. So the friction polish gives you a nice shine, but it's not very durable. But the Mylan stuff I'm using, because I've gone over from what's the brand?
Chestnut.
That's them. Their friction polish over to the Mylans, and the Mylans is harder wearing, and I've been quite happy with that. But it's twice the price for the same size bottle. So I'm only using it on the lace bobbins. Everything else is still chestnut. Adding other material, we all do resin. Garry does a lot of acrylic, so we know how to use these other materials. But I just thought, well, let's add aluminium in. Why not? Let's give it a go and see what it comes out like. And the first bobbins were with a sarge orange. So you've got this black lace bobbin with a bright orange middle or yellow middle sandwiched in between those 2 aluminium bits.
Yeah,
and it was very effective. It looked really nice. That's on a display in the workshop, so I can't get to it in the box. Because up in Chesterfield, Cheshire, at the weekend, so I've not finished unpacking everything from that. But it's very effective, and you don't need a lot of aluminium. You've bought that now, have you? Oh, sorry, it was pillar drill, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Pillar drill.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I've slept since then. But the pillar drill has never had so much use, because I don't normally drill anything like this. On the pillar drill, I use the lathe to drill all my blanks out. I don't know if you do the same, Gary. Do you use the lathe or do you use a pillar drill? Lathe. But I have the pen. My pillar drill doesn't drill deep enough for pen blanks. But because these are only 20 mil, it's just easier to stand at the pillar drill, because then you can leave the pillar drill on and I've got a quick release clamp. It attaches to the table and I can just open it, drop that in to the next one. So it was nice and quick. Just a bit of a pig that I have to do them separately. That's the only thing. But that's what I've been working on doing. I've made 40 blanks today because it's CA glue. It dries quick, doesn't need clamping or anything. So I've made 40 blanks today. Well, 39 because this one is in pieces to show you guys. But
nice, quite inspiring. Now I'm going to go and write that down on my little board as soon as we're done here.
Aluminum, and for our American friends, that's aluminum. For our American friends, it is pronounced
aluminum.
We now have no American listeners.
I'm a very big source of aluminium.
Do we dare ask?
Work, sheet bar, rod.
I can't believe you haven't used it before, to be honest.
No, I know. What I thought.
Have you used aluminium before, Garry?
The other thing, I can get hold of tons of swarf. And that's the first thing that popped into my head. Swarf.
Nice. You can't get hold of that honeycomb stuff, can you? Honeycomb aluminium.
No, that I can't.
No, they use that in the lasers probably, or the jet. Water jet. Do you have lasers or water jets?
No.
Because I don't know why I haven't done it sooner with the lace bobbins, because must have been 2023 Christmas. I've got a couple of carpenters in the family and I made them a mallet. I think I bought them up to club. So they had something like Kingwood or Lignum Vitae head. Then there was an aluminium collar and then a Pequia or ash handle. So I made a few of them. And that aluminium was 15 mil thick, 15 mil thick bullet aluminium. And I did the same principle with this. I drilled it through the middle, made a tenon with the other two bits and spliced it all together. And I just don't know why I haven't thought about adding aluminium sooner.
No, I like that.
Just one of those things, but it's working out well. The wooden ones were ready I was up at North Cheshire Lace Makers on Saturday. So 450-mile round trip for a 10 till 3 sales event. Not there long, but I sold, how many did I sell? 12, 14? They tend to sell in pairs of the new wooden ones. So they were very popular. So restocking them this week, doing the aluminium ones this week. Another lace making trade show on Sunday. Don't like working Sundays, but needs must.
I was thinking about you the other day when I was going to Canterbury. As soon as I got anywhere near the ULEZ zone, which is quite clear, by the way. I've never noticed it now.
What was it? I gave him some table space for him to come and give me a hand for the day, and it turned out that it was well within the ULEZ zone. But Upminster's in ULEZ. I've never had a problem because the van I used to use was ULEZ exempt. It was fine. But the Volkswagen, not allowed in there. 17 quid. Just to get to a venue, on top of parking, on top of the cost to be there. No, I avoid that. Going to Canterbury, you were nowhere near ULEZ.
Well, no, but they start showing the ULEZ signs at the just before the M25, didn't they?
Oh, what, the 50 mile, where the 50 mile an hour starts?
Yeah, it's like, I've never noticed that before. ULEZ in 2.5 miles or something.
Turn off now or pay up.
Never noticed it.
Chongma Valley is the 19th if you decide to turn up.
Is that the one with the competition with the
follow form?
Is it?
Minimum height of 150 mil. He didn't specify anything else. And we have Steve from SK Crafts.
Oh, he might. I don't know if he still has got it, because I think he done a raid on the Yorkshire Grip Factory before they got sold, and he had loads. When he came last time, he had loads of the original.
Do you want me to ask him to bring some with him?
If he'll have some, because he brought it all before.
He is in here.
I just started the pot that I bought with him last time because I finished my True Grit one. It's quite interesting going back to Yorkshire Grit from True Grit after all this time.
What do you prefer? I'll tell you what, save that for the next podcast.
I won't tell you anyway, even though you can edit out True Grit. No, Yorkshire Grit. No,
Yeah, and me too. Yeah.
Well, no,
I
I'd be
think
interested to
use
tell
it.
because you're jumping from one to the other. I went from Yorkshire Grit to cut and polish to True Grit. So I did the chestnut one in between.
Polish is even rougher. That's the one where it's like that actually says on it go from 240, whereas the other say go from 400.
And it went manky.
Yeah.
So
I think I spoke about that before on one of the others, to be fair.
probably about my fast delivery from True Grit.
Right. Enjoy your dinner.
I will. Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
See you next week.
See you later.
Week.
See ya.
Bye.